What if I told you that more than 80% of everything Mexico exports goes to just one country, the United States? That's not just trade, that's dependence. And while this relationship has helped turn Mexico into a manufacturing powerhouse, it also raises a serious question. What happens if that relationship changes? Because right now, trade tensions are rising, supply chains are shifting, and Mexico is standing right in the middle of it all. So the real question is Mexico's dependence on the US its greatest strength or its biggest risk? Let's start with the reality. Mexico exported over $660 billion worth of goods in a single year. And out of that, roughly 83% went to the United States. For every $10 Mexico earns from exports, more than $8 come from one country. And it goes even deeper. The total trade relationship between Mexico and the United States has now surpassed $870 billion annually. Mexico is the number one trading partner of the United States and the number one source of U.S. imports. This isn't just a partnership, it's an integrated economic system. Mexico's economy isn't just connected to the U.S., it's built around it. Mexico is one of the largest car exporters in the world, and the majority of those vehicles go directly to the United States. Entire supply chains stretch across the border. Parts move back and forth multiple times before a car is even finished. Manufacturing dominates everything. Around 90% of exports come from this sector. Mexico produces electronics, machinery, appliances, industrial components, and much of it is designed specifically for the U.S. market. Mexico imports large amounts of natural gas from the United States. That gas powers factories, cities, and economic growth. So Mexico doesn't just rely on the U.S. to sell goods, it relies on the U.S. to keep the lights on. Even food is interconnected. The U.S. supplies stable crops like corn, Mexico exports high-value produce. It's a tightly linked system. Three key forces shape this relationship. The first is geography, a shared border with the largest economy in the world. That alone is a massive advantage. Second is trade agreements. NAFTA and now the USMCA have created one of the most integrated trade systems in the world. Lastly is nearshoring. As companies leave Asia, Mexico has become the closest, fastest, and cheapest alternative. But this level of dependency creates real vulnerabilities. Policy risk is an issue. If the United States changes trade rules, Mexico feels it instantly. If the US slows down, Mexico slows down. Mexico has very little margin for error, and we are already seeing this play out. In response, Mexico has begun requiring more domestic steel use in major infrastructure projects. That's a subtle but important shift, because for decades, Mexico's strategy was simple: integrate with the United States. But now, we are seeing the first signs of something new: strategic independence. At the same time, Mexico's economic growth has shown signs of slowing down. And once again, when demand from the United States weakens, Mexico feels it immediately. But here's the twist. As tensions rise globally, Mexico is also benefiting. Companies are leaving China, and supply chains are moving closer to the United States. And Mexico has now overtaken China as America's top exporter. So right now, Mexico is balancing two realities: dependence and opportunity. So the question becomes, is Mexico doing anything to reduce its dependence on the United States? The answer is yes, but slowly. Mexico already has trade deals with over 50 countries, including the European Union, countries across Latin America, and parts of Asia. But here's the problem. These markets are still underutilized. Mexico is investing in projects like the Interoceanic Corridor across southern Mexico. This could connect the Pacific and the Gulf of Mexico, creating an alternative to global shipping routes. Mexico is also positioning itself in electronic vehicles, semiconductor manufacturing, and renewable energy, industries that are not just tied to U.S. demand. But if Mexico really wants to reduce dependence, it would need to go further. To reduce dependence on the United States, Mexico can expand exports to Europe and Asia. Mexico could increase trade with Germany, Japan, and South Korea. and build stronger logistic networks across oceans. Next, it could strengthen its domestic industry. Instead of just assembling products, Mexico could move up the value chain by designing more, innovation, and technology development. Next would be energy independence, reducing reliance on the United States for natural gas by investing in renewables and domestic energy production. Next, Mexico could attract non-US investment by encouraging investment from Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. It would reduce reliance on American capital. If Mexico can successfully diversify, the upside is massive. It could become a true global trade hub instead of just depending on one country. It could become a bridge between continents. It would have stronger economic stability with less exposure to the US downturns, which means more consistent growth. It would have a higher value economy, moving beyond manufacturing into technology, innovation, and advanced industry. It would also have more political leverage. Less dependence means more negotiating power on the global stage. Is Mexico too dependent on the United States? Right now, yes, clearly. But that's only half the story, because that same dependence is also what made Mexico one of the most important economies in the world. The real question isn't whether Mexico depends on the US. It's this: can Mexico turn that dependence into a launch pad instead of a limitation? Because if it can, Mexico won't just be part of the global economy. It could become one of the most important players in the 21st century. And this is Mexico Insider. Thanks for watching.